Hello, I'm Karen Burke, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about your leadership journey. And this is some work that was done on the basis of teams who work together effectively, know this kind of information about each other, as well as a really wonderful book by Bill George. And Bill George wrote a book on the True North and kind of exploring yourself as a leader and understanding all the pieces that come together that make us the people who we are and why we respond certain ways to certain challenges in the workplace. So when we gather next week, and I'm looking forward to doing so with all of you, thank you for taking the time to both prepare, complete the team assessment, and to do a little thinking about your leadership journey. I thought I'd just take a minute and share with you how, if you haven't done something like this before, how generally it works. So oftentimes when I do it with groups, there's no prep. So I certainly don't want you to feel like you have to spend any inordinate amount of time on this. Oftentimes with groups, I'll give them 10 minutes to prepare for this and they present. So what's really important is what tends to come to the surface is what's most important for you because you think about it in the moment. But you can expect that presentation requests that we have of you for next week. First of all, there are no Academy Awards that will be handed out. There is no requirement for this to be kind of perfect or land in any certain way. Everyone is going to be unique and it's awesome. There is, however, a restriction on time. My experience is that you will land somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes. And that most people who have done this exercise with me take about 5 minutes to do this and maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes to prepare. So I'm going to give you mine so you have a sample of it and have a sense of what you're going to be doing. And I'm looking at the email that I sent you and I'm not looking at my notes, or I don't have any kind of prep in front of me. I just want to give you a sense of how I might land this and what my expectations are to best support you next week. So here's how it might look. So my name is Karen Burke, and chapter 1 I call the early days. I'm a dual citizen and I grew up in Canada outside of Montreal, and at that time and still, Quebec is a French province, so it was primarily French in my environment, although I grew up in an English part. My parents were both English, so there was a fair bit of tension in our household around concerns that my parents were both concerned that they didn't speak French and that was the dominant political language. So it inspired in me a desire to learn how to speak French, which I did and use in business, and it's been a wonderful thing for me in terms of travel. The second thing about this early days is I'm the youngest of 4, and I'm also in the younger of 23 first cousins, and we all grew up together. So one thing you might notice about me if we were to be on a team together is that I'm quite competitive. So I think that's a strength that helps me be keen for the next step, but it can occasionally get in my way if my focus is competitiveness. So I would hope that as a colleague, you might call that out to me if you thought I was over-focusing there. My second chapter I would call Geeking Out. And I do that because I really am a super geek. I mean, I love everything technical. I love technology. I love figuring things out. I love it when maybe I'm lying when I say I love it when software kind of does something different, but I'm intrigued when I can't figure something out in Google, or I'm intrigued by making something happen in Dropbox. So one of the things you might notice about me, if we were to be colleagues together, is that this is never something that would slow me down. So if you're feeling stuck about something to do with technology, please come to me and I would love to be your partner in that. So that's something that would be good for you to know about me. Chapter 3 I call Co-Creating My Family. I met my husband when I was 18. We have 2 girls, 21 and 25, and they're awesome and our best teachers. Mark and I met in engineering school. I was in first year, he was in 4th year, so I always give him a hard time about being older than me. Not by much, but older. And it's really been one of the joys in my life to be a mom. And I was shocked because I never actually thought I wanted to have a family. I grew up with so many family members. I don't know, maybe it felt complete, but I did. And I think, and this is where you'll see me get a little emotional, I think it's the best thing I've ever done. It's the most fun I've ever had, the most I've ever learned, and I just feel so blessed by these, two young women. We have the pleasure to parent, and of course by my husband of 30 years. The fourth chapter I called Searching for My Who. So I stayed pretty technical for a long time in my career, but always felt there was something more. I actually was in pre-med and then switched into engineering. And in the pre-med space, I thought I might be a psychiatrist. That's really where I was landing. But so I was always really intrigued by how people interacted in the workplace. And I saw an example of a national sales leader basically implode in a meeting and exhibit what I would consider was career limiting behavior. And I also saw the general manager of the division, how he managed that situation. And it was fascinating to me that he didn't get derailed. The general manager didn't get derailed. He kind of honored this national sales leader and really from the edge of an abyss rescued it. And I just didn't think I had those skills, but I was fascinated by those skills, so set out to learn about them. So when I did my master's, I studied leadership, and within the context of that MBA, and then I really dove into it, and I've studied quite a bit about psychology and human performance and coaching and how to coach. And so this is my thrill that I discovered this as a kind of a second career, and I've been doing it for the last 15 years. So one of the things you might know or notice about me as a colleague is that I'm really passionate about that area. I'm always willing to have a conversation and be a benchmark or a brainstorm with you in this space. I'm always reading about it, and my family sometimes tells me to stop coaching them. So it's something you might notice too. As a colleague, you might say, hey, let's take a different approach, or, we don't have time, we want to take it a different way. And I'm cool with that. And I love feedback. So that's something you could notice about me as a colleague. And sort of the what next, I think this is really exciting. We are empty nesters now, my husband and I, and we love to travel. We both love our work, so I don't see retiring anytime soon. We're, could definitely imagine working for 5-10 years more and wanting to do that. I think the what next is continue doing what I do, more studies, more travel, and we're definitely considering renting our house and living in Boston for a year, just to experience urban living. We've never done that. So you'll notice that this took 6 minutes, 5.5 minutes actually, if I look at it, and that's my leadership journey. So I hope this helps you prepare for your leadership journey presentation. Try to keep it in that 5 to 7 minute space. And I just did mine off the cuff. So you can take 10-15 minutes to prepare, but no more than that. I don't want you to have to spend or feel like you have to spend a lot of time doing this. And by the way, I'm a bit of an extrovert, if you haven't noticed on the Myers-Briggs. I'm an ENTJ, so I talk a lot. But I have equally and as effectively seen this done in 2, 3, 4 minutes, quite a bit shorter. So you really want to land with this where it makes most sense for you, but have fun with it, but don't stress over it. So I hope this little video is helpful for you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you all next week. Have a great rest of your day.